Let's wrap up March. All right, guys. Hi, hello. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back. I had a weird reading month in March and read a whole bunch of fantasy romance. That was not my plan at all, and I don't really know how it happened other than Libby possibly sending me the things that I had on hold all at once, and I wasn't planning on reading this many anyway. That's kind of where we are with March, is a whole bunch of fantasy romance. Okay, so in the month of March, I read 12 books. DNF'd one, and one was horror, but I think the rest of them were fantasy. Yes. So, and most of these would be fantasy romance. Like I said, I had no intention of reading fantasy romance. It's just what happened. I'm still trying to get back on track with what I want to read. I'm still trying to get back on track with having enough time to read. So the reason that these are what I've read is because that's the audiobooks that I had. And I hate to say it, but if it's not audio, it's not happening right now, just because I have so many distractions with my mother-in-law just moving in, all the stuff that was going on with my best friend. You guys have heard about that a lot, so I'm not going to hash it out here. But I have been very distracted. So I'm really trying this month to stick to books that are not fantasy romance. I'm sure one will crop up here or there, but I am very excited about what's coming up, even though I feel like my March was a little one note, and I feel like my March wasn't that great of a reading experience all around. Let's get into the ratings. Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant, I gave 3 stars. Magic for Liars by Sarah Gailey, I gave 2 stars. Two Twisted Crowns, I gave 4.5 stars. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, I gave 3.5 stars. Bride by Ali Hazelwood, I gave 4 stars. A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen, I gave 4 stars. A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed, I gave 4 stars. The Thousand Names by Django Wexler, I DNF'd. The Inadequate Air by Danielle L. Jensen, I gave 4.5 stars. Bring Me Your Midnight by Rachel Griffin, I gave 4.5 stars. Powerless, I gave 3.5 stars. And Priest of Lies, I gave 4 stars. Okay, as far as disappointments go, I have to talk about the obvious one, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. If you guys saw my vlog, you will know exactly why this was disappointing. But pretty much this is a standard, typical YA romance that I don't understand why everyone's hyping it up other than this name right here. And I'm kind of to the point that I'm frustrated about people's response to this book as opposed to other romances. So I'm not going to talk about it. Just don't want to have it out right here, right now. But that is why this one is a disappointment. Also, Magic for Liars by Sarah Gailey. I do not connect with Sarah Gailey's writing style, at least not in this book. I do have The Echo Wife to try, and I do want to try it because a lot of my friends absolutely love it. However, this one was just boring. It was so boring. And like, again, I couldn't connect with the writing style. I gave it 2 stars because I thought it was fairly generic, and I thought somehow this magical school would come into play. It didn't. I thought the mystery would be more in depth. It wasn't. I thought we might get a romance. We didn't. So there was like nothing about the book really worked for me. And I don't need everything to be wrapped up in a bow with a pretty nice ending. I mean, I read a lot of grimdark, so it's not necessary, but it felt off in this particular book. I was like, okay, what was the point? What was the point of reading this story? I absolutely do not get it. And like, it just seemed so pointless to me. I've had this problem before when the plot is just not good enough and the characters are just not good enough to carry me through the rest of the book. I mean, you got to give me something. You got to give me atmosphere, writing, something to elevate the story, in my opinion. Otherwise, I'm just not going to like it. And then I would say that Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant was a bit of a letdown. I said this a couple of times. I like this book. I think it's good. But I just like it. I don't think it's great. I don't think that it's bad, obviously. I like it. I just don't think Mira Grant's writing is for me. because she drew things out way too long. The horror was not all that horrific, I guess, and I like my horror to be horrific. I don't understand what the point of these mermaids, killer mermaids, is unless they're terrifying, which there are terrifying moments in the book. So, I mean, it's not just that. I just kind of found a couple of the things that I would have liked to have seen a little bit lackluster. So, I think it's good. I liked it. 3 stars means I liked it. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. I liked it. So I just, yeah, I was hoping for a 5 star with Into the Drowning Deep. So for surprises, I really only have one, and that would be A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. So when I first heard about this book, I thought it was going to be dark academia. I thought it was going to be a whole lot of things that it wasn't. I thought it was going to be standard YA and just eh. And I've tried to read Ava Reed before, so I kind of knew her writing style. I kind of knew that it was going to be a little bit on the gothic side. And I have this aversion to books that are touted as gothic and then are dark academia, because they're not the same thing, not even close. And so I was really, really nervous about this. And then my friend Donna told me, don't worry, you'll love it. The dark academia thing doesn't last for very long. Where they are is much more gothic than it is dark academia. I was like, cool. And I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was really good. Now, as far as hits go, we still have not had a 5 star. No 5 stars. So I do think part of this is because during my reading of one of these books that I gave 4.5, I do think it could have been a 5 star if I wasn't distracted as much as I was. But we'll get to that because that's going to be my #1 book of the month, and so I want to save it for last. However, Two Twisted Crowns was a wonderful, wonderful conclusion to One Dark Window. There were some things I was missing in this book that were in the first book. A lot of the atmosphere was kind of taken away because we are on the move in this book, so it doesn't feel as slow as gothic as the first one. But things are happening due to the events of the first book. We knew that was coming. And then the bits of lore that we get from the nightmare that are present in the first book, they're not present here because we've delved through all of that lore to get to where we are in this book. And so those 2 elements for me that I really loved just weren't here. However, I really, really love this duology as a whole. As a whole, this trilogy, or this duology, is 5 stars. I love it. I love Rachel Gillig's writing. I really love the atmosphere that she's able to evoke. I love the relationships that she builds. There are a couple of people that I've heard talk about this, and it's an either love it or hate it as regards to the characters, but I love it. I absolutely love it. And I am so glad that I own this duology because this will be staying on my shelves for quite some time. I will reread this. And Bring Me Your Midnight, I gave 4.5 stars. Now, I've talked about this a couple of times. We have the Rachels that are kind of coming to the forefront here. I really, really enjoy how Rachel Griffin can pull off environmental horror. I love it. I love it. And it's one of those things where you always see witchcraft, but you never see the consequences of using that type of magic. A magic that is connected to nature, that is intrinsically entwined into nature. And what if it gets overused? What if it gets used incorrectly? What are the consequences to the planet when people are misusing witchcraft? And so I love it. I love that concept. I really like the enemies to lovers trope in here because it pits 2 people against each other who are at odds with each other because of their families' histories. Not necessarily them actually being rivals, but one knowing who the other person is and the other not really knowing who they are, but knowing the associations that they have. And so it was really interesting to see them navigate that and overcome some of those things. But yeah, I love Rachel Griffin. I have Wild as the Witch and I want to read it right now. I think that Rachel Griffin might become an auto-buy author for me because I love the nature of witches as well. Now, neither one of them did I give 5 stars, but Rachel Griffin kind of is starting to hold a place in my heart, like Aaron A. Craig, where their books are just good. The writing is just good. And if I need a brain break, Yes, these are the two authors I want to be picking up. Erin A. Craig and Rachel Griffin. Love it. Okay, now the one I'm almost convinced that I could push up to a 5-star, and I could definitely see myself pushing it up to a 5-star if my reading experience of it was better, would be The Inadequate Heir by Danielle L. Jensen. Yes, I gave one of her books 4 stars, A Fate Inked in Blood. However, the Bridge Kingdom series is one of my absolute favorite series because of the way that Danielle L. Jensen writes it. And Danielle L. Jensen is competing with herself on the romantasy front, in my opinion. A Fate Inked in Blood, and then, you know, Bridge Kingdom. But Bridge Kingdom speaks to a lot of my personal loves, love and enemies to lovers, and all of her couples have been enemies to lovers so far in the Bridge Kingdom. I really love political books, and these are highly, highly political. And assassin characters, I love assassin characters. I love heists, all kinds of stuff like that. So she brings a lot to the books that I really want to read. So again, A Fate Inked in Blood was good. I liked it. The Bridge Kingdom is just absolutely love it. All right, that is my wrap up for March. I hope you guys had a great time and that you found some books that you would want to read. I will see you guys in my next video. Don't forget the Patreon is live and we are doing bingo boards and buddy reads and all stuff like that all year. I will see you in the next one.